Joining us live is the Deputy Nationals Leader and the Shadow Trade Minister, Kevin Hogan. Kevin, you're on your own today, but it's good to see you, by the way. So, would we be affected if India were to wind back its purchase of Russian oil?
Well, Pete, just quickly, I'm going to miss Sarah. She's away for 2 or 3 weeks, and I miss her already, and I'll tell her when she comes back, Pete. But look, I didn't think I'd ever say that in my life, but I have, and I'm happy to admit it. But that I'd miss Sarah Hanson-Young.
What about when our panels, when opponents become friends? That's what we try and do here anyway at First Edition. Anyway, as you were going to say, Kevin, carry on.
Yeah, look, this is one of the ramifications that we're seeing from Trump's tariff policy. And we, again, we have bipartisan agreement on this in Australia, Pete. We think Trump's tariff policies are bad for America, and we think it's bad for global growth. And this is the biggest threat, actually, to Australia. If Trump starts to do things, that means that global growth slows down, people retaliate, and that means the $650 billion worth of stuff we sell overseas every year, we may not be doing if this global war type thing starts to happen. Look, we'll see what India does. I mean, it's a bit of a loose threat. I think the fact that we buy, oil from India, we should be able to buy oil from India. He has issues with that. I understand that, but he shouldn't be having leverage on third party, like us to do that.
Would we just buy it elsewhere if India were to pull back?
Well, we probably would, but we have our own relationship with India. And, India, when we were in government, Pete, we signed up a free trade, or the preliminary for a free trade agreement to closer relationships with India. Obviously, we can talk to India about what they're doing with their relationship with Russia. We should be able to do that. But should we be told by a third party that we can't buy our oil from a certain country? I don't think so.
OK. Speaking of oil, Kevin, Midnight Oil frontman Peter Garrett is leading a push for tech companies to stump up royalties if their AI systems mine our data, whether it's music, whether it's even news media. So how do you feel about that? Where are you at on that this morning?
Well, Pete, I'm no expert on AI, but I speak to a lot of people about it, and some people say, the sort of more pessimistic people say we're at the start of, a Terminator movie. Others, much more, and where I put myself, much more optimistic. I see AI much like what the internet was. It was disruptive, but look what it created. Personal computers even, when they were introduced, and the disruption, but then the opportunities that they created. And you can probably go back to the Industrial Revolution and the disruption that had. So AI is going to be exceptionally disruptive. And especially in certain professions that are information-based, like education, even like the legal profession. But look, we're going to have to work through all these ramifications. The copyright things come up today. People obviously should have protection over their own material and where they generate royalties from. So we're going to have to massage and wind our way through this as government. But Pete, I think AI is going to create enormous opportunities. Yeah. And we're talking about productivity with Spin Jim Chalmers' PR stunt next week with the productivity roundtable. AI itself will increase productivity, which is going to be very exciting.
Well, I mean, on that, do you think it's going to come to much, that productivity roundtable? They've started to walk it back a bit, but the coalition is invited. So what will you be putting up?
Well, look, Shadow Treasurer Ted O'Brien is going. Look, Pete, I think this is like we've already had one of these. Remember, after the 2022 election, Labor had a big economic roundtable. Do you remember what came out of that?
Yeah, Alan Joyce said it was a stitch-up.
All that's happened since then, Pete, is productivity literally has fallen to a 20-year low. We've got 80% of jobs created in Australia are public service jobs, Pete. That's not sustainable, and that came out of the last big roundtable they had. Look, I think it's a PR stunt, but look, we have huge issues. We have huge productivity issues. We have deficits for as long as the eye can see. I think what this will be, Pete, is this is going to be an excuse to raise taxes. They'll come out of this, why don't we raise taxes here now or raise taxes over there? That's what I think is going to end up happening, and that won't help our productivity and efficiency either.
We'll see. Good to see you, Kevin. Talk to you soon.